All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Season 2 premiere of the TV Time Machine podcast. Once again, as always, I am Luis.
And I'm Adam.
And we love TV.
Love TV.
Almost. That was close.
That was pretty good.
I feel like I haven't seen you in like 6 months. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The holidays, the new year. But here we are, season 2. Today we're talking about besties or BFFs. My daughter would kill me if she heard me say that wrong. In TV history. We thought what better way to start season 2 than to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that's friendship. And right now in the background, the Carol Burnett show is playing.
Nice.
And she worked with all her close friends on that show, right?
About that one.
Art Carney. Who else is on that show?
Oh gosh.
Way to put you on the spot.
I know. A bunch of people whose faces I can remember and names I can't.
It was
who was the short balding guy?
Art Carney, right?
You are really
That's all good. It was sketch comedy, right?
Yeah.
And she always did a little message to her mom at the end with a little tug.
I loved that show. Yeah.
That's so cute.
That show led to Mama's house, right?
Yeah, Mama's Family was rated one of the worst
Harvey Korman, Tim Conway. So Tim Conway, who I was trying to think of.
Harvey Korman worked a lot with Mel Brooks on Mel Brooks films, right?
Yeah. So the cast of Carol Burnett shows: Carol Burnett, Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, Lyle Wagner, Tim Conway, and Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke. You can never get enough Dick Van Dyke.
But it was mostly her and Tim Conway.
Yeah, they ran the show.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You can tell they were close. So we thought it'd be cool to talk about the 10, not the 10 best friends in TV history, but, talk about best friends in TV history. Adam, you want to take us away on a list that you've acquired?
Oh yeah, hang on. I'm like, I don't have it pulled up. Yeah, this is great. It's like famous duos, peanut butter and hot sauce.
It's peanut butter and jealous. Oh. Today's show is brought to you by our unsponsored sponsor, Pluto TV. Yes. Please check them out. Download that on any of the apps, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, pretty much any device out there. Pluto TV showcases nostalgic television as well as up-to-date news. It's like having cable TV in an app. And again, North Fresh Coffee Roasters. Use promo code PONDER at checkout for 10% off a subscription or a shipment. After you.
All right. I cannot find this list. I lost.
Oh, no worries. I'll start with one of the most.
I had everything ready before, and then I just lost everything.
I will start with Screech and Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
Oh.
Now, a lot of people would disagree and say that Zach used Screech and bullied and abused them, but they were really close.
Yeah. And you know what? It's a true representation of what relationships are like when you're a kid.
Exactly.
Because you kind of it's like when you're young, especially if you're not one of the popular kids, it's like, all right, who will hang out with me? Yeah. And then it's just that's who your friend pool becomes. And it's more out of convenience than these are the people I want to be friends with for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and Zach,
what?
Zach loved Screech. I think they had
definitely
beautiful bromance.
Definitely. But it's kind of it's the reason why people don't stay friends with most of the people they were friends with in school. So once you get to be an adult, you're like, all right, now I can set boundaries. I can pick who I want to be.
Boundaries. I'm still working on that. What is a boundary?
I don't know. I'm still working on that myself.
Captain Kirk and Spock.
Oh, that's a good one.
Best friends through the millennial, right?
Yeah.
Through the millennia.
Yeah.
We actually got to see how their friendship started in the J.J. Abrams reboot in 2009 Star Trek, and they didn't have a very good start to their friendship. They were enemies.
I have the because Kirk was a replacement captain. I have the original pilot with the
Pike,
first
right?
yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I have it on VHS. But then he dies, and then Captain Kirk replaces him. And so I think that's why Spock is apprehensive about him at first.
Yeah, and then Pike has been brought back in the Abrams movie as well. He made it to the second one, then got killed because of separate timeline. He got shot, assassinated, and then I think he's actually a captain in Discovery for quite a bit of the couple of seasons of Discovery. Pike.
I've not seen Discovery.
I haven't either. It's way too fanciful looking for me. I have to really get into it. I love Star Trek, but yeah, that friendship lasted.
Oh yeah, and then all the movies too going into the 80s. Like, so when did that show start? Late 50s or early 60s?
66.
Okay.
Yeah, and it ran for
66. Yeah,
it only ran for 2 or 3 seasons, and then kept getting resurrected by like the cartoon, and then the conventions, and then 1980 came the movie. The movie was trying to keep up with like Empire Strikes Back and Star Trek, and
that was like 5 movies, right? Wait.
Oh my God, they've
I have the set on VHS. I just can't think of how many tapes it is. Like
12.
The spines make up the Enterprise.
Because Star Trek Nemesis was 10, and then there's 3. Oh, there's 13.
Well, yeah, there's those too. I was just thinking with Spock and Kirk.
Oh, they did 6.
Yeah, right, 6.
But altogether, there's 13. Star Trek 5 was an abomination. We won't talk about that. That one was awful. Who else?
Wait, is 5 Search for Spock?
5 is the Final Frontier or something.
Oh yeah.
And it was awful.
I was gonna say, because I know a lot of people don't like Search for Spock, but I love that one. But maybe it's because
I think
saw it.
Star Trek 5 is when they went and found God, and William Shatner directed and wrote, and it was awful. They went from Star Trek 4, which like put that whole franchise on everyone. I mean, it totally
it was huge.
Everyone was into Star Trek at that point because that show was that number 4 was so relatable. And then they follow it up with James T. Kirk, William Shatner, aka Narcissist, wanted to write and direct, and he wrote one about them finding God, and God had laser eyes, and it was really bad. Another famous duo here, Adam West and Burt Ward as Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Best friends. I always thought their friendship was a little homoerotic, but that's okay. Super close best friends can have huggy sessions and wear tight spandex together.
I got a good one. This is it's not on my list. This is like an honorable mention though.
Yeah.
Kermit and Fozzie.
Kermit and Fozzie are best friends.
Yeah.
Who's the more? I don't think any of them are emotionally stable though.
No.
Especially Kermit. He's not emotionally stable. He can't get over
Mr. P. No, Jim Henson and Frank Oz. They're not. They're just like.
She was abusive.
Very vulnerable.
She was physically and verbally abusive to Kermit.
Miss Piggy? Yeah.
She would punch him and he would fly. And
he would fly across the room into the wall.
It's not funny, ladies and gentlemen. It's not funny. Husband battering is a thing.
Wow. Yeah.
We shouldn't laugh at it. If you are a victim of husband battering, please, the number right here, call this number. Just kidding. I'm not going to have a number. Fozzie Bear.
Jorge won't take care of that. He's going to.
Jorge. Oh, yeah. Our intern, Jorge. He is late today. He didn't show up for the first time. I'm a little annoyed with him. Last I heard, he was traveling with some band cross country. Isn't that what you heard? They were doing some.
Yeah, he was a roadie for sound or something.
Band, yeah, and he kept hitting me up for like $20 on Venmo. I'm like, Jorge, man, get your life. You're like 35, dude. Jorge, the things we do for these people. Kevin Arnold and Paul Pfeiffer.
That's on my list. That's on my list.
Talk about
Another
it's
kind of toxic relationship.
toxic to them. I mean,
Yeah.
they hated each other, but then were in love with each other. Like they
Yeah.
were bromance to the T. I mean,
Yeah. Kevin was a dick.
Kevin was you know what? He is a dick.
Oh
He's
yeah.
temperamental
For the
Capricorn, right?
yeah, especially the first few seasons.
He's a dick. I remember the episode where he wanted to get Wayne's attention, so he started doing all his dances. Remember that? And he ended up falling. But then Paul Pfeiffer lost his virginity before Kevin, remember? And that was a dark episode, and it wasn't a good experience for Paul. And Kevin was jealous that it happened to him first, and then jealous that he didn't tell him.
Yeah. That was like the final season, right?
They never explained what happened, but Paul was traumatized from losing his virginity. It was weird. I think most people are when it first happens. It's not like it's awkward and kind of awful. So I think they kind of captured it. It wasn't like this romantic. They weren't romanticizing.
Yeah.
What about no, Corey and
I know the other
what's his
Corey
name?
And Corey and Sean also on
from
my
Boy
list.
Meets World. And Topanga was in there a little bit, but they had a very toxic relationship too, I would say.
Yeah, a little bit. But it was also Corey was genuinely concerned for Sean.
Sean made a lot of mistakes. Remember when Sean joined the cult, the hugging cult? And
oh yes.
that was sad. And Sean was like, no, Corey was holding him like, this is what a real hug is, like a gift from your friends.
Yeah.
Not some weird cult.
Yeah.
It's not weird.
That was such a California thing, but they were like in Philly. Like
Mr. Feeney had to like go to the intervention. I'm like, this teacher's working overtime, dude.
But he switched. He started working at the college.
Yeah, so ridiculous. He's just following these kids around. I would say that Corey and Mr. Feeney also had a very close bromance thing going on. Like father.
Oh,
son.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of weird thing going on.
And in later seasons, they were like, they made Eric, the older brother, and Feeney into like a duo.
Oh, that's adorable. They started dating, or
no, they just like made it. maybe I have to look for the implications.
Hey, I don't judge, man. Love.
All I know is they started hanging out a lot.
Love is love is love.
Yep.
George and Jerry from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Such
keep hitting my list.
Yeah. We're on the same wavelength. We're BFFs. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yep.
I always thought that the most powerful best friend duos were polar opposites, and Jerry and George could not be more opposite. George is neurotic, Capricorn, self-centered, borderline narcissist. I would say covert narcissist in a lot of ways. He thinks way too highly of himself for what he's presenting to the world.
He dumps on himself often, but that's like it's almost like a guise to get people to give him other kind of praise,
Yeah. And then Jerry, I would say, is full of himself too, but a lot more confident. And they get in the most ridiculous situations together. Just by observing or by lying, or they get obsessed. The show, I think, is about obsession with what you can't have. That's pretty much what I have ascertained. Seinfeld is always about, they're always obsessing with what they can't have, like a business or a date or toys. Remember the episode where George's girlfriend had all those toys, but she wouldn't let him play.
Yeah.
It's terrible because he like drugs her to play with them.
Yes, yeah.
He drugs her with wine and turkey.
Yeah, he puts
storylines that would not work today. He roofied his girlfriend to play with toys. That storyline would never go today. Oh my god, terrible.
Gosh.
Who else?
If you're just listening, it sounds like we're laughing, but it's more like
we're not laughing at roofing Mafia's.
Yeah, we're just like, we can't believe it was on TV.
Yeah, not a storylines that did not age well.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Um,
other side of that is the Larry and Richard duo from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
oh yeah, Richard,
They're, um,
the actor that was on the Jamie Lee Curtis show.
Richard Lewis.
Yeah, those two
Yeah,
are
and Larry David.
and Larry and his manager too, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know if they're necessarily best friends though, you know?
Yeah, they hang out quite a bit though. They're so
They
tough.
hang out quite a bit, but it's mostly getting lunch together.
Yeah,
Like Jeff's always coming to his office and like, let's get lunch.
Jeff is always wearing shirts that are like
I sounded like Super Dave just then.
Yeah, you did. Poor Dave Osborne. God bless him. He was so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He really was really good on that show. I was gonna say Jeff always wore on purpose. I heard his character always wore shirts that were like a size too small.
Mm.
His gut is always just protruding, and it's not like he's the biggest man in the world, but
Yeah.
he kind of wanted that character to, I don't know, be uncomfortable.
He's playing like he's playing like a tacky agent, right?
Yeah,
Or
and
manager.
He was constantly cheating on his wife, and it's an
Yeah.
ongoing joke.
Yeah.
And Larry knows it's so terrible. It's an ongoing joke. No one.
Well, and in the later seasons, Larry starts feeling guilty about it.
Yeah, a little.
Like
bit.
anytime he wants to cover for him, he's just like.
He's like, it's not good karma. Can't keep covering.
And it's funny too because he was friends with Susie and introduced her to Jeff.
Yeah.
But then him and Jeff become friends, and him and Susie become mortal enemies.
Susie is she's crazy.
She's great though. She like fills a role, Yeah, like she's really good at making you hate her.
And she does genuinely care about Larry.
But like
moments
you shouldn't. But the other side of the coin is you shouldn't hate her, right? Because like Jeff is like constantly cheating on her and stuff.
Larry's an asshole.
And her behavior, it's almost like she psychically knows something is up, and she is acting in accordance.
Remember the doll head when he cut the hair of the doll?
Yeah.
They came home and she was in the driveway, and he's like, "Oh shit, fuck." Another one that we don't think about, but you sent me. We're gonna play the song later. Lucy and Ethel.
Yeah,
couldn't be more. Couldn't be more polar opposite. Lucy was bored housewife, constantly wanting a spotlight, constantly in trouble. Ethel was. I want to say Ethel drank during the day. I get that vibe from her.
She's a day drinker.
Day drinker, and she had to put up with Fred. Fred and Ricky were best friends, right?
They hung out. They definitely hung out, but I think that was more out of convenience. I wouldn't say they were best friends. Lucy and Ethel definitely were just like always up in each
always together and always up to something.
Yeah.
I had a friend like that growing up. He was my best friend for a while. His name was Kevin, and I would always tag along to his crazy schemes. Like, he wanted to get into raccoon catching at one point, where he would actually like kill raccoons and then give them to fur trappers.
Okay.
And his mom caught us once with bow and arrows and like hunting gear, and she's like, "How come you do everything this idiot says?" I'm like, I don't know. She goes, "You don't hunt. You don't even know how to shoot arrows." And I'm trying to like justify this to her with like hot cocoa at their breakfast table at 6 a.m. She goes, "You're an idiot. Like, we look ridiculous." And I was like head to toe in like hunting gear. I would say Theo and Cockroach from Cosby Show.
Oh, that's a good one.
Always in trouble together.
Good one.
Who was the worst best friend that would always get you in trouble? Like the bad influence best friend. I feel like Lucy from Peanuts was always getting in trouble, or Peppermint Patty was always trying to get. Marcy was Peppermint Patty's best friend, and she was always in trouble because Peppermint.
Yeah, she was always getting Marcy in trouble. Yeah.
And she called Marcy
by association.
Marcy called Peppermint Patty sir.
Sir.
It's so ahead of its time. Marcy had all that feminine. Peppermint Patty exuded feminine energy. My God.
Yeah.
I would say Lucy was a bad influence on Ethel for sure.
I think also Ethel liked hanging out with Lucy because she was younger than her and had more going on.
Oh yeah, Ethel was
Because like
certainly,
Ethel was just they just were landlords. Ethel and
yeah. Like I said, Ethel. I think Ethel was three sheets to the wind by 2 o'clock. Like the Chardonnay, just a drunk, and then Lucy kept her out of trouble. I mean,
well, I mean, especially in those times, right? That wouldn't even be. It would just be normal for her to
yeah,
be a day
drinking.
drinker if she was like a landlord, had a passive income.
Yeah, just sit at home, wait for
Yeah.
Fred to get home.
Lots of housewives were day drinkers back then. It was like,
Oh yeah, lots of bosses were. Um, Arthur Fonzarelli and Rick
and Richie
Rick,
Cunningham.
best friends.
That's a good one.
He was
Ponzi and what's his name? Or Patsy and
oh
the other one.
yeah, the redhead, right? And
Yeah, they were like best friends too.
those guys were attached at the hip. My God.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a period of time when you and your best friend were just attached at the hip, and people questioned if you were more like that happened to me in California.
Yeah.
We were like inseparable. And my mom, I remember one time my mom heard the shower going and she goes, "Are you and Kevin showering together?" I'm like, "No, why would you think that? What the hell?" It's a good idea, it saves time, but like, whoa, why did you assume that? She goes, "Well, you guys do everything else together." And I'm just like, whatever, Mom. I'm just jealous because you never had friends. Like this. But yeah, she assumed that we were showering just because, I mean, he was probably in the shower and I was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we're gonna just shower together in front of the whole family. I mean, come on, that's weird. Well, this took a weird turn.
Yeah, me and my best friend Sam, when I was in my teens, everybody thought we were together. Yeah, because we always slept at each other's houses all the time. It was like, who sleeps at people's house when they're
your best friend and
like, I don't know. We have sleepovers, whatever. Who cares how old we
on a
are?
best friend, you can sleep in like a twin bed with them, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And any other dude that you sleep at sleepovers with, you have to have that like barrier, the pillow barrier. It's like the gay barrier, like straight guys always put up. I never understood that. Like, what's the pillow gonna do? What is that there for? Men are dumb. Young men are dumb. Who else can I think about that? I have a list here too. Chandler and Joey.
Yeah.
Roommates and best friends. So they were borderline. They were borderline a couple. I mean, remember when they fought and it was like the saddest episode ever?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't speaking to each other, and Joey went and stayed with Ross. And I remember Chandler just like watching the rain, missing Joey. Yeah. Ridiculous. Oh my God, those two.
Yeah, I had Monica, Rachel, and Phoebe written down.
The three of them, right? Nonstop.
Yeah.
They were roomies. The three of them were roommates, right?
Yeah. For most of it. And then
didn't one of them move out?
Phoebe moved out.
She wanted her independence. She became a taxi driver and moved out. I like how they lived in like 3,800 square feet.
Yeah, in New York City, and they were like young. They were like in their early 20s.
An anthropologist is not going to pay those bills. I'm sorry.
Well, he would have been the highest paid of all of them. Like,
yeah, I mean, because one of them worked as a barista. Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel worked as a barista.
And Joey was Chandler was always paying his rent because he was
Joey. Yeah, because he was an actor. Yeah, who mostly just went on auditions.
Like, yeah, never. He had that one stint on the
soap opera.
Dr. Drake Gamora.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then he fell down an elevator shaft. And Gilligan and Skipper, best friends.
Yep.
But also very abusive. Skipper was always physically abusing Gilligan. Remember?
Yeah.
Calling him a nerd and throwing him downstairs. It was very abusive relationship. Didn't like it. Huh.
Yeah, he was constantly telling Gilligan how inferior he was.
Yeah, Gilligan, you just can't, you numbskull.
Yeah, unless he did something good, and then he would just reward him with like, like good job, little buddy, or something like that.
Yeah, it was very like he treated him like a dog. He would pet him. It's weird.
Yeah, he would pet his hat. He'd like hold him in his arm and like pet his.
Very another abusive, toxic best friend trio with the Three Stooges, Larry, Curly, and Moe.
Mm-hmm.
They were very like physically and verbally abusive.
Two of them were brothers, right?
I think Larry and Moe were.
Yeah.
And then Curly was always the outlier.
Yeah.
Friend, That's so funny. Yeah, constantly living together, always scheming. Would get ahead by getting a good job, and then
Yeah, yeah. And then
oh,
they would lose it. Or
always involved in something terrible. Scooby Doo and Shaggy, best
oh
friend.
yeah, that's a good one.
Um, Definitely not good for each other. They were both chicken shits. Shaggy was a pothead. Didn't work. Kind of like what'd you say?
I mean, I think Scooby was too. What were those Scooby snaps?
Yeah, always getting high. Was Fred a beatnik? Fred and Velma and Daphne were
Fred was more like a hipster, or like a, yeah, because Shaggy was the beatnik. Because
Shaggy.
he looked like Maynard G. Krebs.
I think Fred was my first like cartoon.
Which that's another good duo, Dobie and Maynard from the Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. That's an old
That's an
throwback.
old sitcom.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about Gilligan, Bob
Denver.
Bob Denver. Yeah, that was Bob Denver's
He's
first,
related to John Denver, right?
Is he?
I thought so.
Is John Denver his son or something?
I think they're brothers.
No, Bob Denver's a lot older than John Denver, isn't he?
Is he? Our Bob Denver. Let's Google it. Are Bob and John Denver related? Google.
Other people are asking it too.
He is
They're
not related. Damn.
Oh. Because John Denver's real name is Deutschendorf.
Awesome. Who else? Really good duos. I just thought of one. The Fresh Prince and
yes,
and his
and
cousin
Jazz. Oh, and Carlton. Yeah,
Carlton and Will were best friends.
They become best friends.
Yeah,
they're definitely not at first. They're
not at all.
They're like frenemies that like slowly after like 5 years they're like best friends.
You know that Fresh Prince is rebooted completely now on Peacock as a drama, right?
Yeah, from that trailer that guy made.
Yeah.
We should do one like that. That thing was amazing.
What would you reboot that was a comedy?
I don't know. I would reboot something. I would do a Sanford and Son, because most people don't even know Sanford and Son is a reboot. That's how good of a reboot it is.
Amos
Take some. What?
Is it Amy and
no, I can't remember what it was, but it was also about a junkyard owner. Like it was the same show, but much earlier. But I would pick a show like there was a show that Michael Keaton and Jim Belushi and Paul Rubens were on.
What?
Called oh gosh, I'll bring over, I have a VHS of it, like of the episodes that were released. It was called Working Stiffs, it's called. And
you brought that up a lot. You really like that show.
Yeah, it was great. And it's basically about two guys who are like two roommates who are always looking for work. They live above a restaurant that Paul Rubens is a waiter in.
It's not a theater, is it?
What?
It's not
no, it's not. It's like a diner.
You get the joke, right?
Yeah.
Oh. My mom didn't let us watch Pee Wee Herman after that.
Oh, yeah, man, that sucked. Well, it went off the air after that. They like pulled it. It was in syndication though. But
bad Pee Wee, bad.
So that was a Norman Lear too.
No wee for the Pee Wee.
Sanford and Son.
Yeah. Norman Lear is still alive and kicking. I don't understand it.
I know, man. We have to get him on.
I know. I wrote them an email and they like didn't respond at all. Would you say that Walter White and Jesse are best friends?
I wrote them down on my list.
Through happenstance,
right? Yeah. They definitely become friends, but then Walt definitely betrays Jesse's friendship.
Oh, multiple times.
Yeah. And I mean, especially when he lets his girlfriend die.
God, that was
rough stuff.
Keep coming back to Breaking Bad. I love it. You can end every episode.
It's one of the best shows ever.
It is so good.
Like I don't want it to be, like, but it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You know who I would say is
It's just a hard show to watch a lot.
it is. It takes the humanity. It takes the humanity out of things.
They had like a kill count of like 278 people,
and like 30 of them when Walt ordered that prison hit in the very first 10 minutes of that one. Let's get it over again to that music.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh.
Take a deep breath. Dun, 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 dun. Start all over again. He's like making coffee and people are getting shivved to death.
Yeah.
And one guy gets it really bad in the prison cell. They like pour gasoline in there and trap him in there. Holy shit. Woo! I would say Carl Winslow and Urkel were another pair of BFFs. They got really close.
They did become BFFs. And that was another like enemies turned friends.
Yeah. Kind of like Cody and Patrick Duffy.
Yeah.
They became best friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cute. That was his uncle, right? His uncle by marriage, right?
Yeah. No. That was his uncle.
Okay.
Not by marriage. It just was his uncle.
Really
and
close.
He like had to come live with them to save the show to make it last longer.
Yeah.
The new guy.
That actor Sasha something. He was a cutie pie.
Yeah.
Kind of fell off the wagon.
And he beat his wife, remember?
Oh no.
That's why he left that's why they pulled him from the show suddenly.
What an idiot.
But then Jason Marsden and who was the son? They were best friends on that show too, on Step by Step.
Oh, James Marsden and
no, not James, Jason.
Hobie? No, Hobie he played Hobie in Baywatch. That same kid. JT.
Yeah. Yep.
JT and James Marsden. Interesting. Balky and Larry from Perfect Strangers, best friend.
Yes, that's a good one.
I mean, talk about that was the Odd Couple premise. Like that was Felix and what is it? Felix and Oscar from the Odd Couple. That whole like completely different world type best friend situation going on there. We have 10 minutes. How much more can we talk about?
Okay, so I got a few more on my list. Laverne and Shirley. Loved that show when I was a kid. Laverne
was like outgoing, like hypersexual, and Shirley was more like,
reserved
Christian. They moved to Milwaukee together, right? Or she moves to Milwaukee and they
work at a beer factory.
At a beer factory with Lenny and
Squiggy.
And that show was like borderline like feminist movement. Like it had a lot of the storylines were all over the place, that show.
Yeah. I remember both of them shutting men down.
Yeah.
When they behaved like in ways that they didn't want, like when it was
they did not make the greaser movement look good at all. I mean, Lenny and Squiggy were fucking morons.
Yeah.
Bumbling.
But they were always dating other guys though, remember? They always had dates with other people, Yeah. And they were always going on double dates and stuff. But I also have Beavis and Butthead.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
On my list.
Classic. You know who else? Michael P. Keaton and Skippy Handelman.
Oh man. That's a good one.
Talk about like the love those characters had for each other.
Skippy
was like
he was
such a good
what happened? Character. How did he leave the show? I just remember crying.
Skippy was all the way up until the very end. He showed up to say goodbye, I think, to
I thought he moved away or something. He had like a similar fate like Boner from Growing Pains. Boner and Mike Seaver. That was another good duo. And Boner joined the military. I remember that.
Oh, he was there until the very end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was canon up until the very end. Erwin Skippy Handelman. he had a crush on Mallory. That was an ongoing. And Mallory she was the meanest character. She was
Yeah.
materialistic,
Yep.
mean, self-centered. I love the dynamic between her and Alex B. Keaton. They were the brother sister dynamic. And
yeah, they were a great brother sister. I knew brothers and sisters like that.
Yeah, Tina Yothers never got anything from that show. They never really gave her much.
No.
Her and Brian Bunzel were the.
I remember her like starting a band after that.
Yeah, like a punk band. She was in Laker Girls. Remember the Laker Girls movie? I remember being a teenager and like it was a made-for-TV movie, and she played like a Laker Girls choreographer and scantily clad on CBS Girls, and me and my brothers were like, "Oh my god, these girls are almost naked. You can see their butts."
I never saw. So I got five more.
Okay, let's do it. We have
the minutes. Golden Girls.
All of them.
They're one of the best. All of them. They're shit. The theme song. Thank you for being a friend. Come on.
Thank you for being a friend.
That's all that show is about, is friendship. Bert and Ernie.
Oh my god.
They're one of my favorites.
I think it finally they finally came out, right? They're lovers, right?
Did they? I don't know.
I mean, there's so many.
Remember. I cannot. I'm not
sure. Don't Google that, by the way. You'll get some weird shit.
And then JD and Turk.
Who?
From JD and Turk, another toxic relationship from Scrubs.
Oh, I never saw Scrubs.
Oh, okay.
I need to.
It actually, wait, is it toxic? Sometimes
they live together, right?
Yeah, sometimes JD is toxic. Most of the time, they act like 12-year-old best friends. Like the way they talk and like interact with each other versus how they talk to other people.
I need to watch Scrubs, dude.
And then I got two more.
Yeah.
These are two of my favorites. This is one I always wish there was a show. Marcus and Mo from Smart Guy. Omar Gooding and
Smart Guy, the little kid.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the twins' little brother, right? From Sister.
Yep. The Maori brother.
Yeah, he grew up to be on
Jason Weaver. That's what it was. Jason Weaver.
He grew up to be on Baby Daddy, which is a show on Freeform. Really good show.
Yeah, I always thought they should get a show because I feel like at the end of that show, they were like graduating high school. So they could have just made a spinoff of them in college.
Yeah.
Or post high school, whatever it was they had them do. And then this is one of my favorite friendships, Leslie Knope and Ann Perkins.
Oh my god, from Parks and Rec. When Ann moved away, I was a mess.
Oh man, I was crying like almost that whole episode.
That reminds me of when we've moved away from each other like 3 times now. When I moved from Poughkeepsie, that was rough. And then I moved from Portland, and that was also rough. So 2 times. No, I moved to LA.
Then you moved to LA too. Yep.
Yeah. Every time we cried. Oh, I don't like thinking about that shit. It makes me sad. Who else? We have a few more minutes. Who are my favorites? Oh, you know who was one that we don't think about very often is Mark Green and Douglas Ross on ER.
Oh yes,
very close friends, and that their friendship like stood all kinds of tests.
Yeah,
they were constantly like at each other's throats for what was right. Law and Order SVU. What's their names? The 2 cops.
Maloney Harding and I'm like, I don't know what
the Crystal Maloney and Mariska Hargitay. Their characters. Would you say Bart?
Yeah, Bart and that was one of.
What's Bart's friend?
Milhouse.
Milhouse. Yeah. Who's Homer's best friend? Homer doesn't have a best friend.
I don't know.
Marge.
But the Lenny and oh gosh, what are their names?
Lenny.
From Simpsons, the 2 best friends, Lenny.
Oh yeah, they hang out with Homer at the bar all the time.
Yeah. they're always doing stuff together.
Would you say Peter Griffith's best friend is Quagmire or Cleveland? I think it's Cleveland. I think it's it's
it's
Quagmire.
Cleveland, but I don't know. I was gonna say Brian, but Brian and Stewie are more like
Oh yeah, those
the
two.
duo.
That's such a great duo. I love that shit.
Lenny and Carl. That's what it is. Lenny and Carl from Sin
Well,
City.
this has been a great return. We're going to be doing this weekly. We're aiming for 52 episodes this year and a couple of specials and like maybe even some shorts. We're working on an actual screenplay called the TV Time Machine movie. I love the idea of that.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you. We'll read
That
extra.
synopsis was hysterical when you sent it.
Yeah, it's a genie that
I was like, we got to do this.
Eli, my son, actually helped us come up with the storyline. So I think it'd be cool to read like different parts of Act 1, 2, and 3 and on the show with our guests. Have them. Basically, the premise is we get sucked into actual TV shows and have to solve each episode out to get back, and we get
we have to remember what happens.
We have to remember what happens, and it's actual show, so we'll get sucked into Happy Days, and all the characters in the show see us as the characters, but everyone watching the movie will see us as ourselves. So Adam might become the Fonz, and has to like literally jump the shark or something, and I have to like support him to do it, even though it's scary. And we have to do it because an evil genie that gets bored hurts on us. It's a good storyline. I would see that. I would pay to see that.
Yeah, dude.
Cool. So from the TV Time Machine podcast, I'm Luis,
and I'm Adam,
and we love TV. See you next time, and thank you so much for being here. Bye bye.